crack. We'll do a real crack in just a second, fellas. Hang on. I just realized I forgot to send out the alert. Hey, now, come on now. Let's be serious about something here for once. I forgot to send out the alert, and I want to let that happen real quick, and then we will start the show. I apologize about that. You know, you have to understand, as a fellow with the ADD, you know, hang on a second. And it's a one-man band, baby, so come on, at least for the moment. You got to give me a little bit of a break, eh? Give me a break. Remember that? You have to be old to remember give me a break. I don't care, whatever. It's a good show. I think the lady who was on it was from Alabama. Nell Carter was her name. And I want to say remember that Joey Lawrence kid? Like, he said, whoa, on Blossom, that dude. I want to say one of his brothers was on the fucking show. I can't help but be racist. It's true. No, that is true. We've got the most racist person in the world here today hosting the show. Everybody, all right, here's the can crack that you deserve, that you've earned, that you need, that you've missed so goddamn much. Here we go, baby. I can't even find the goddamn thing. There we go. Fellas, welcome to Gavin and Games. Did I hear Netflix wants to be we're going to talk about Netflix in just a little bit. Venom Quest, good to see you, buddy. Boom. There we go. Come on now. Yeah, there he is. Another crack you got. That's worth waiting for. And I even got the sound fixed today. I should at least. Yesterday I put up a video that the sound was just atrocious, and I think I've got it all worked out, but you let me know if my volume's too low and if it's driving your ears crazy, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's settle, Jaffe. Let's settle and do a show. Let's settle and do a nice, gentle, sweet show for all of the people. All of the people. Listen, I have to say... Oh, I know why. Here, look, Ritalin. I want to tell you guys a story real quick. Hang on. I want to tell you guys a story. Yes, today's episode, Avoid the Void, will be around for everybody. The Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday shows are always free for everyone to chat and to watch at their leisure. The other ones are the other shows are the member shows. Okay. We have to settle. We have to find our zen. There you go. Okay. Welcome to Gavin and Games, fellas. I want to tell you something real quick. I woke up this morning to a YouTube message, a Yahoo message from YouTube saying they've age restricted another one of my videos. And this is not a strike. Your channel's in no danger, but hey, we thought we should restrict this video. And I'm real anxious about that because, this is sort of where most of my content lives, and I'm trying to stay within the rules and whatnot. So I go to the video in question, and it's simply a video of me streaming Resident Evil 4. And I'm like, well, what's the problem with this? And they said, it's too gory. It needed an age gate. And I'm like, okay, wait. My understanding, I don't even fucking know what happened. It's Resident Evil fucking 4, okay? If that's going to be age gated, I have to... again, that's their business. I've never been one of these guys. They don't owe me shit. They can do what they want. But if that's their business model, I wonder about games like Mortal Kombat 1. I wonder about, the new Silent Hill. Are people just going to, I imagine the game companies are going to be like, what the fuck? People can't make money streaming our games and thus promote our games, but it is what it is. Sorry. Goddamn, Jaffe, don't be distracted. The Ritalin hadn't kicked in. You just saw me take it. Anyway, that's what's going on with that. I'm just like, you know what? Come on, man. Nobody, it's Resident Evil. You guys really want fine. You're gonna, you want to take the handful of ducats I made off that video, which was nothing. Fine, take it. Call of Duty is rated M. I don't think $6 it's an M-rated thing. I think it's more about something gets flagged and they look at it and go, that somebody subjectively says that's excessive gore. And thus it gets a ding unless you want to challenge it. Oh, I know, Paul. That Paul says you showed a man with half of his skull in one stream, right? Which is why immediately afterwards I went and I made all the I Love the Weird episodes absolutely age-gated. So you can watch it if you want, of course, but you know, you got to be over 18. Listen to this, fellas. See Lou, member for 16 months, the Diet Soda Soldiers. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. I appreciate your support and your company and your community, man. Much, much appreciated. All right. Let's get to the most important thing that you guys come here for.
An extra, extra. Read all about it. Life story.
Shut the fuck up.
You goddamn right, man. This is you know, not pro. Okay, let's have some fun. I want to look. Well, first, let's talk about this. Just give you a little bit of heads up of what's going on. Coming up on this very channel, on this very show next week, we've got Jeff Keighley. We will be streaming his Gamescom opening night live. I'm a little less excited about it now. This will be coming up on the, I think it's the 22nd at night. Let me see. 22nd. I'm not sure what the time is yet, but it'll be sometime on the 22nd. We'll stream this. I don't really like where he says, well, we're not going to see a lot of new stuff. It's more about, you know, focusing on updates. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that. So, yeah, I fixed the soundboard stuff. Thank you for that, Bukaki. Yeah, tell me if this is better. That might even be too low. But anyway, point being, let me try that one more time. I'm just a little bummed. I wanted to see some new stuff, but we will be streaming that. Tell me if this is better. Here you go. Last time. How's that? We'll be streaming that live, though, so that'll be coming up. We'll talk about Patricia Hernandez, Venom Quest. Yep. And then what is exciting, though, is the Future Games Show will be the next night. And I know a lot of you guys aren't super hardcore into PC shit. Most, if not all of their stuff. No, it actually says they have 40 games on PS5, Xbox, Switch, and PC. And that is pretty much all new stuff. And there's also a bunch of demos that will come out that evening as well, or that day, whenever it is. So at least we have that looking forward to. Good Sir Troy Baker, and I guess she is a voice in Apex Legends. Erika Ishii will be hosting it, and that'll be coming up pretty soon. So that's next week. Okay. I want to look at this real quick. I just saw this. This isn't really in my main ballywick of news. What? But I wanted to see this real quick. I've never even played an NBA game. The minute I hear licensed music, I'll turn it off. But this was interesting. I saw a GIF on this on the PlayStation blog, and I was like, what? That sounds pretty cool. Let's watch this together for a moment. Of course. It's all... Please stop. I guess they make shit tons of money. I'm just so fucking tired of all the fucking license. Okay, shh, quiet. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Here we go. All right, so they're playing the game. Now, apparently, you can watch an actual game. Like, you can take a game from the NBA, and then it puts it into the game, which I don't really understand. You mean you can just kind of watch a digital version of it and move the camera around? Or do you mean that it actually becomes like a scenario you can play? I don't quite understand that. But it's kind of neat tech, whatever it is. My guess is it's probably the exact same game, and you can watch the whole game digitally, but it'll allow you to be your own camera person. That's kind of cool. What do you mean it's a waste of resources? That's kind of cool if you like the NBA, if you like the basketball. I mean, but I don't know. Does anybody have a better idea of what this is? What this tech is for? Because there is real NBA game film. Now, does that mean, you know, what is film? Does that mean like the NBA is going to provide you with like 50 games you can do this with? Or does it mean that every NBA match, what's it called? You know, they fight each other. The basketball teams, what is that called? A game. A game. You know, does that mean that every fucking game between teams is going to be available? I think it's kind of cool. Why would you want to watch the same thing but in-game, Addy Pie? Well, because you would be able to fucking, pause it when you want to pause it, change camera angles, focus on a single player, seeing what he was doing. But I don't have any more details beyond this, but it's kind of cool. You got to love the tech. Come on. You can poo-poo it and not give a fuck, but you got to at least respect the tech. That's kind of cool. I mean, imagine doing that. Now, again, I don't know if the data, my guess is they have cameras all around the NBA arena, court, whatever, fuck you. And if they do, great. I don't know if they're actually taking it like DeCeltic says it's like the new FIFA feature. They're able to take animations from TV and incorporate them. So, okay, so it's not actually, it's taking it off a 2D image on TV. And if that's the case, hell, you could do it with anything. Do it with the Kennedy assassination. You know, I want to fucking go down there and zoom in and look at the grassy knoll and all that shit. That'd be cool. Horatio's been a member for 18 months. Thank you, buddy. He says, hope everyone's having a great day. You goddamn right, sir. Thank you for that. Hey, it's Horatio. Horatio's a Shakespeare reference. Could also just be your name. I thought it was the WWE story mode where you have to pull off certain big plays. That is true, Brett Moore, when you're playing the sort of the documentary thing. The feds edited frames out of the Zapruder film, says Matt DeMarco. I'm sure they did. It wouldn't surprise me. All right. Well, anyway, we'll keep an eye on that because it sounds pretty cool, at least to me. Okay. People have been, saying, okay, wait, it seems it's designed to quickly add moves to the game, says Tristan, rather than watch digital videos. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I might give it a play. I like NBA Jam. And people are like, yeah, Jaffe, that's not this. I know, but I like the rules of basketball, and I like watching basketball. Okay. People have been talking about Starfield. Oh, people are playing Starfield. People are playing Starfield. They're saying it's great. They're saying it's great. And every time I click on that and try to do a little research, the rabbit hole ain't very deep. It doesn't go anywhere. I'm like, who's playing Starfield right now? When I was talking to Gene Park last week, he said codes were going out yesterday, meaning a week from when Gene and I talked, which was last Monday. And then if you look at reliable leaker, Tommy Henderson, of the band Tommy and the Hendersons, he says they do go out later this week. They haven't gone out yet, but they should be going out to press and certain influencers, as they say, any day now. So, but I don't know where everybody is getting the rumor that people are playing it and it's really great. I certainly fucking hope that's true. I'm very excited for this game. When I'm choosing between Baldur's 3 and this is an easy choice. I will eventually explore Baldur's, I think, but not anywhere close to immediately, because I'm really jazzed for Starfield and I hope it's good. But anyway, so maybe we'll start seeing some leaks, but probably not coming out very, very soon, because the game comes out in less than 20 days on early access, which I will have, and I will be streaming and I will be playing it. So we can chat then. Yeah, Carlos says I could ask Mr. Matty if he has a code. Yeah, absolutely. I will. If anybody's got one, it's him and Lord Cognito and those guys. 10 days till Armored Core 6. Yeah, good. Here's the deal. I'm going to get Armored Core 6 if I can fucking finish Elden Ring in that time. Avoid the Void says I just finished Baldur's Gate. It's groundbreaking. That's what I hear. Addy Pie is literally putting up emotes in the chat and going, this is boring for Starfield. What do you mean bored of Starfield? Starfield sounds amazing. I don't know if it will be, but it sounds fucking amazing. Harris says, Jaffe, what's your take on the Red Dead Redemption 1 drama? Let me guess, it's fuck Rockstar. No, honestly, don't buy it then. My take is Take-Two is an incredibly successful company. Part of that success comes from, reading the landscape and the tea leaves and having their ear to the train track and knowing what the consumer wants. So I understand it's not satisfying for people who were looking for a Red Dead game or a Red Dead remaster or Red Dead 1 or 2 on new consoles. It's just kind of, and what you can play there, you can play on your Xbox already. The thing that they're making and selling for $50. But, don't buy it. I don't care. What's wrong with those guys, if they see an opening in the market? And look, you're going to probably see more and more of this kind of shit because remember, this is really fascinating actually. When I was a kid, I was an Atari kid, right? Atari was kind of in its heyday, the 2600 from like 77 to like 81 or something in 82 maybe. But I would see new Ataris and repackaged Ataris on the shelf well into the 80s, right? PS4 was drastically successful. And I'm assuming you're going to see a lot of companies continuing to squeeze that sponge until there's nothing left. So the people that they're making that game for are probably people who have already played the game and it's not really for them. But people who maybe, aren't hardcore gamers yet, maybe this will make them one, or they don't spend a lot of money on games. This may be the first time they've ever experienced it. So, I got no issues, man. I got no issues. Okay. But I know a lot of people do. A lot of people are upset. Can't help you there. I don't plan on buying it, but that's just me. Okay. Listen to this. Boom. I'll tell you what, man. This is a little show that could. Only Murders in the Building is a great show. Season 3 just started here in America. I love it. That's the only thing that's topping Twisted Metal in Canada. The show Twisted Metal just came out in Canada this week. It's the number 2. Think about that. It is the number 2 show streaming right now in Canada. How crazy is that? Second and third place are Twisted Metal and a show called Black Snow. So I never thought. It's not my 5 minutes of fame, Addie Pie. I had nothing to do with the show except what I did ages ago with the team. I'm just saying, the essence of Twisted Metal is reflected in this show. And the fact that it is doing so well, first in the United States and now in Canada, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me because I always, and I probably still think this, I always thought Twisted Metal was like it was a cult hit that that a handful of people adored. But most people were like, oh yeah, it's a clown thing. And I'm not saying people are like, let's give Twisted Metal a Peabody. It's like it's the best show ever. I'm just saying it's kind of cool to see that there's people out there that are still kind of vibing with it. Okay. Starfield says Gohan feels like it's going to be boring. Baldur's at least has a bunch of different cool and interesting races. Starfield has a bunch of boring humans in what's likely a mostly empty, boring universe. We'll see. I don't know. If it's boring, great. I didn't spend any money. Well, I did spend a little money to get the early access, but I like what Starfield is selling. I like that kind of space opera, and I like exploration, and I like the majesty and romanticization of space. I'm a fan of all that stuff. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, listen to this though. We gotta have a little conversation here. Guillermo del Toro, the great film director, Guillermo del Toro tweeted this. It's the 9th anniversary of PT. Yes, Benji Martinez, you can pay for early access. Yes. 9th anniversary of PT, the Kojima Del Toro joint that a lot of people say, I don't agree with them, but a lot of people say is the scariest video game ever made, whatever. It's great, though. It's fucking great. And, 9th anniversary, Del Toro tweets this. Konami, what sayeth thou? He's responding to the Game Awards, tweeting it, saying the full game was never released. And then he says in Latin, I can't speak Latin, Urumabo Konamitus, which I guess means I will visit Konami, right? So, and then it's like, oh no, are they going to revive it? They're going to revive it. I don't even understand this at this point. I don't understand this. Okay. A couple of things about this. Okay. first, let's just talk about Konami, then we'll talk about PT specifically. Konami still has the exact same president that butted heads with Kojima and pretty much pushed him out because, rightly so at the time, and even still, he was like, look, the future are these little simple fucking mobile phone games, and we can make a lot more money on mobile games than we can make on all this expensive shit that Kojima's making us, right? They put out, in fact, the president of Konami. Now, I love my dog, but I wish he would fucking drop dead. Ace, guess what? You're safe. Everything's okay. You stupid mutt. I love you, Bobo. Yeah, okay, listen. They do have the same president. Yes, they do. I checked. Because I was curious about that as well. But the guy who produced their biggest mobile hit, Dragon Collection, went on to become the president. And I believe he's still the president. The guy's name is, what is this guy's name? He went on, they made a shit ton of money on this fucking thing. Starts with a K. I don't know. He's still the president, at least according to my research. And so it's not like he's going to be welcoming back these kinds of games with open arms. I mean, one could argue, though, that they're doing Silent Hill, so maybe he's, had a change of heart. But they're doing so well with their mobile, I don't quite know why they would. So whether Konami picks this fucking thing up or not, I don't fucking know. Yeah, here's the guy. His name is Hideki Hayakawa. Can't do it. Hideki Hayakawa is the president. Yeah, so he was also the guy who got rid of or pushed out Kojima and produced the first big mobile hit that they made. Okay. So number one, though, is I don't know if this guy's got the fucking appetite to get back in there, even if he made, nicey with Kojima. But I think a more important question, honestly, is PT led to so many copycats. They led to so many fucking copycats already. Visage, obviously. I don't remember when Layers of Fear came out, but it may as well have been PT. It wasn't as good, but, tons of indie games. There's a bunch of games already like this, right? And so the idea, I would love to see Del Toro get back with Kojima. And I would love to see them go to Sony or go to Xbox and say, because what really is PT? I understand that it was supposed to be Silent Hills. That train has left the station, right? So, the idea, though, of a first-person horror game with the juice that this demo had, with Del Toro and Kojima, with a company that actually wants to spend some real fucking money, and doesn't hate AAA games. Fuck. That, I think, would be great. But don't go visit Konami, Del Toro. What are you doing? Get the fuck out of there. You don't want to work with those guys. Find somebody who's going to appreciate. Hell, you know what? One of the producers of Twisted Metal 2012, Zack Wood, is the head of the game division over at Blumhouse, which is famous for all their horror movies. Go fucking over there, man. Go talk to Zack and say they'd welcome you guys with fucking open arms. You kidding me? I don't know why you're thinking about Konami, but these guys should make a horror game. That'd be great. And yeah, a lot of people in the chat are saying that it's Resident Evil. The last two really were inspired by aspects of this game as well, which I can totally see. Certainly the what was the one in RE Village where you're in the house and there's that baby and shit that's chasing you? That all seemed I think it was like the witch one or something. That was all inspired, I think, by this. Diet Coke is the best. And I know people are going to say, oh, no, it's bad for you. I know. Oh, I know. Okay. Let's move on. I want to talk about this because this is so cool to me. This is one of the reasons I love game design. I was never great at it. I was good enough. I'm not knocking myself. I was good enough. but I still remain, even though I'm not doing much of it anymore, fascinated by it. Just one decision can affect so much of your experience, right? Modern Warfare 3, doesn't matter if you love it or hate it or ignore. I'm not here to pimp you up on what. Oh, pimp you up. I don't know. I'm not here to sell you on Modern Warfare 3. It's just a great example. Modern Warfare 3, which comes out, I think they said November, brings back Call of Duty's classic minimap. Now, if you don't know what he's talking about, let me show you what this looks like. So the way it used to be for a very long time, was that, hang on, let me just bring, I want to show you a picture of it. The way it used to be for a very long time was there was a map in the upper right-hand corner, okay? And whenever somebody fired or did something else that made a lot of noise, but usually it was fired, a dot would appear, right? And so you had to be cognizant of when you fire your weapons, because it was like, look, if you want to take that shot, make sure you get it, because you're going to let the whole world know where the fuck you are. And then they got rid of it recently, and now they have kind of the Assassin's Creed radar at the top that tells you where teammates are and key things are, as well as on the HUD, but only if an enemy brings out a UAV, like a heads-up display tracker drone, then it will ping where the enemies are. And one's not better than the other, but what's fascinating about them is they're just so different, you know? Explaining in a blog post, this is reporting from IGN, 2022 ahead of the last Modern Warfare. The team said, we don't want to punish players for firing their weapons. We also want players to actively search out the origin of a gunshot versus just traveling directly to where the dot is on the minimap. Right? I get it. It's fascinating to me, because one little decision like that absolutely changes gameplay. It absolutely changes the way you play the game. And that is the power of game design. And that is why game design is the most important aspect of you know, games, you know, whether it's board games, card games, video games. It's blurry. Why is it blurry? The screen's blurry. Is that a focus? There we go. Sorry about that. I just think that's so cool, that one little choice like that. So I just wanted to share a little design, a little deep dive design theory porn. Call of Duty is dead, says Gaming Nating. The only reason it still sells well is there's so many more people gaming in 2023. I don't know if it's dead or not. I can tell you that I absolutely loved this latest Call of Duty, but, you know, and I'm looking forward to the new one. I like Call of Duty a lot, single player, and this is the first time I've really fallen in love with the multiplayer. But, you know, your mileage will absolutely vary. By the way, I want to say welcome to Nicholas Ronald. He is from France, and he is very snooty, but is a classy gent. Thank you so much, Nicholas. He is joined at the Cult Calypso level, which is crazy generous and kind. Very much appreciated, buddy. Thank you for that. He says, I'm looking forward to movie nights. You goddamn right. We need to do a movie night soon. How about, I'm going to stop with the pot and popcorn, though, because I want to enjoy the movies a little bit more. We'll do a movie night in the next 2 weeks. How about that? Alexa, remind me tomorrow at 4 p.m. to set up a movie night. I do want to let you guys know, though, that coming up Friday, we have game night. Game night, we'll be doing Quake 2, which is cross-play. It's members. You can watch it if you want, of course, and chat and shit, but the only people who can play have to be members. Quake 2, which is cross-play. It's on pretty much everything. It's $9. It's free if you have Game Pass. And then we're also going to be doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is out that day. It is cross-play as well, but it is free if you have Game Pass. Otherwise, it'll cost you, I don't know what they're selling it for. So those are coming up this Friday, 5 p.m. California time. So hopefully we will see you sometime that evening, Nicholas. That'd be awesome. And thanks for joining, buddy. Okay. Let's move ourselves on down the road. Move on, ease on down. It wasn't move, it was ease on down the road. Don't you carry nothing. You have never played Quake, Gaming Nating. All I can tell you is I'm staggered by how good the updated Quake is. Quake's always been great, but it's not nostalgia goggles. It is fast, responsive, fun. I'm thrilled that I can still hold my own when I'm not the host, because I was worried that it was going to be sort of host, what's the term? Host privileged or whatever. So if you're hosting, you have a better chance of winning. I'm not noticing that at all. So it's good. It's really fucking good. So check it out, Gaming Nating, and see if you want to join us coming up. It's good people. Okay, listen to this. This is fascinating to me. This blows my mind. Now, I've never played Addy Pie. Sorry, let me get to that in a second. Died Soldiers, thank you, buddy. Addy Pie 4 months. He says, Jaffe, we're still on for the orgy on Gamescom opening night. Yes, we are, but you're not invited because everybody saw the pictures, and it's like, look, we have low standards, but not that low. Okay, listen to this. I have never played a Cities game. City Skylines 2 is coming out pretty soon. And this is really weird, but cool, but weird. This is from Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Apparently it says, this is like a little fucking socialist litmus test or something. Skylines 2 features government subsidies for new players, which take care of a portion of early game expenses and which extend unemployment benefits for your citizens. These sources of aid decrease as the city grows and you get to grips with the game's simulated economy. So, it's a statement in and of itself that the easy mode tutorial is brought to you by government subsidies and unemployment benefits. That's just like, I don't know if that's an intentional sort of statement by the developer or it's just the way it came out in the wash. But if it's intentional, it is the most biting social commentary I've seen in a video game since South Park made easy mode, or they made hard mode in the South Park game. You had to select a black character, and if your character was black, the game was harder, right? This is almost as clever, and awful, but clever. But the other thing that's really interesting about this, it says, you can meddle with taxes and subsidizing resources at the beginning of the production. Simulation can't pull money from nowhere. You get money from rent, import payments, company profits, player-owned income, remove cash from the system, while export income from businesses, tourism, and cities pump cash back in. Should a home be unable to pay rent? This is disturbing but fascinating. It will look for cheaper accommodations if a household can't pay the rent. That produces the maximum possible happiness. Happiness is in capitalized, like it's a bar you have to fill. It might also consider moving out of the city. If the family in the home lacks the funds either to find a new place or leave, they become homeless. In this case, they can live in city parks until their living situation changes, the developer says. Companies may also become bankrupt, fire their employees, and have to abandon their offices. There's a lot more on that if you go over to the website. Portraying homelessness, says Rock, Paper, Shotgun, in a game is obviously a complicated act. It may be useful to compare the above unavoidably impersonal top-down modeling with games that focus on individual experience of being homeless, such as the shelter-commissioned Spare Set, which I've never played. But the reason this fascinates me so much is I'm a big lefty. I'm a big progressive guy, so I like sanctuary cities. Even though I know they're not perfect. I like taxes that go to help people who aren't, for a variety of reasons, as fortunate or as lucky or as whatever as somebody else may be at any given day of the week. Okay. I'm a fan. Okay. I know a lot of people out there, despise that philosophy, and that's fine. That's your cup of tea. Do with it what you want. Drink it if you will. But What's cool about games, though, versus a speech somebody might give, or a placating, or a soapboxing speech somebody might give on a fictional TV show about right or left philosophies, the thing a game can do that no other medium can do is a simulation like this. I mean, depending on how good this game is and how much it really does go, look, you play this game, you may not turn your view around on homelessness and taxes, whether you hate them and you'll love them or love them and you'll hate them. But to give this to a bunch of students, high school students, college students, and say, look, we're going to have a cities too, assuming it is as clever as it sounds here. It may not be, but let's hope for the best. We're going to do a class in Cities Skylines too, and we're going to use that as a tool to dissect the philosophies around people's views on government intervention and homelessness and things like that. I mean, come on, man. That whatever side of the aisle you're on, you've got to love that. And that's what, again, I'm so in love with the medium. A lot of people are like, games are shit today. Think about that a video game more than any other tool will allow you to really explore what it means, if the game works, to deal with subsidies, homeless, taxes, the 1%, all that. I mean, come on, man. I'm not pushing an agenda. You know my agenda. I don't have to push it. it is what it is. I'm pushing more of like, wow, what a neat tool, man. What a neat fucking tool, because then you recognize it. You recognize it first as a mechanic and you say, oh, shit, I had too many homeless people. But eventually you start to go, wait, that's how the real world works. And if I want to make these guys over here in the city happy by taking money out of the system so I can pay for their election, so I can get a power plant over here, I'm going to see my homeless rate go up. Kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's kind of important. No conservatives can play and learn how much better their lives would be with some help, says Cyclone. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to get political on what you should think. I'm trying to bring your attention to the fact that games can allow you to explore what you think and potentially change what you think. So, Addy Pie, you're a troll. Addy Pie says it's sad the state of gaming today. It was better 15 years ago. No, it wasn't. This is ridiculous. That's just like, you know what? Here's the path, by the way. Somebody needs to make a flow chart. Okay. You're a kid and you love video games. Okay. And then there's a branching point where you either stay in love with games, go into PC games, online games, whatever, or you're one of those, no, man, I got interested in girls. Like, I've never understood that. I got interested in girls too, but it wasn't 24/7. At 7 o'clock at night when I was 14 years old thinking about Angela Spivey, the saxophone player, I was still fucking playing ColecoVision. I don't understand how that negates what, but regardless, you have that path, right? Right, yeah, exactly. Referable Snail says everything was better back when I was 15 and impressionable. Right. Exactly. You know, it's just like, but people look back with these nostalgia, and you see it on NeoGAF all the time. Games aren't fun anymore. I'm outgrowing games. What's wrong with me? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, just fuck off. Play them. Don't play them. Nothing's wrong with you. Maybe there's just nothing you want to play. Or maybe you're only playing console games where the imagination is strictly limited because the budgets. I don't fucking know. But anybody who looks at the gaming landscape today and is like, games suck today, you're barely looking at the landscape. I don't want to say you're not looking hard enough, because it isn't that hard to look at what's happening in other areas if you are a little stale on console AAA. It ain't that hard to open up even PS5 and go to the indie section and go, whoa, Viewfinder's amazing. Viewfinder's amazing. Come on, man. That's horseshit. Zero Signal says Addy Pie misses the days when Leisure Suit Larry inspired his lifestyle. Can you imagine? He's like, I see myself in this game. I am Larry. Jaffe says, Trey, our very own Trey Trimble. Hey, buddy, about conspiracies in Bizarro World. Have you heard Titanic was a hit job? What? No. But I will put that on the next I Love the Weird. That sounds crazy. I've never heard that at all. Dango Unchained says, for how big the business is today and how tech has improved, gaming are behind. How? How is gaming behind? How are gaming behind? What are you talking about? There's so many unique concepts out there. Bukaki says, I heard the fires in Hawaii are a big conspiracy for people to be allowed to develop the land for tourism. Yeah, could be. Wouldn't surprise me. Kevin says, I've chased nostalgia before, and sometimes it works, but most times it's filling a void. I agree. Okay, let's move on regardless, though. I want to talk about this. I've kind of come around. I've not come around. Well, okay. Here's my theory. Well, actually, let me get the super chat that just came in, then I'll get to this. News story. Ehon McGrath says, Jaffe, thank you for the super chat. He says, Jaffe, if Twist Metal Black was made into a movie, who should the main character be? A pure evil character like Sweet Tooth or a sympathetic character like Dollface or Mr. Grimm? I think it really comes down to budget. I mean, if I had my druthers, it would be a super low budget grindhouse horror movie, and it would be about Sweet Tooth. I don't know if you necessarily want to do an origin story, but you might want to deal with that. But it would probably be about someone who's trying to deal with the force of nature that is Sweet Tooth as a violent slasher. That is what I would want to see and maybe even be involved with. But I think if you're going to make it like Mad Max in terms of like that level of budget and stunts and stuff, which is what I think you'd have to do to spend that kind of money, you're going to need a sympathetic character. You probably do, Dollface or Mr. Grimm or something like that. I would agree. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. Very, very kind. Very, very kind. Rob Zombie making it would be very cool. I would love that. Okay. What's the most exciting game I played recently, says Dango. Be a little more specific. When you say exciting, what do you mean? In the meantime, I'll get to this new story. Marvel Spider-Man 2 will let you slow down combat for better accessibility. So earlier today on the PlayStation Spider-Man 2 page, up went a bunch of accessibility options and just options in general. For some reason, they've taken it down. I don't know why they took it down. There is no performance ray tracing mode, but of course there is a fidelity 30 frames mode and a performance mode, 60 frames per second. You can have graphical things like HDR, motion blur, film grain, chromatic aberration, and such. But the biggest thing that really came to light was the ability, very much like in, what was the skating game? Roller Dome. I don't know, whatever that game. Great game. That you can slow time down. Not as a superpower, but as a user, if you're like, this game's too hard for me. And, my take on this, where I've changed my, look, as long as the developer is the one to push it, and the director of the game is saying, my vision is not hampered by any means comparatively to what we gain if the player comes into this combat scenario and is going, I'm pressing the button to slow down time. I have no problem with that. I think if Bandai Namco came in and told From Software, we want this in, and Miyazaki's like, no, but they did it anyway, sure, that's a problem. But if this is coming directly from Insomniac and the director's like, it doesn't hurt the vision anywhere near as much as it helps other people enjoy it, I'm down with it. I don't really... I would love to have slow motion in Elden Ring, Addy Pie. I would love it. Because, I mean, the thing you also have to realize, and a lot of you guys are younger than I am, but one of the things you have to realize is I know it's fun to make fun of old people because it reminds you of your insane bullshit idea that you'll never die. Blah, blah, blah. I get it. But if you really kind of strip away the ageism there and think for a moment, there really is, there is a real degradation that happens when you get older. I was never a great gamer. But I'm 52 years old. I play more games probably than most of you guys watching this show. I love video games. But I don't have the reflexes I used to have. So, like, for example, I'm dealing with these fucking dual god, whatever the fuck they are towards the end of Elden Ring, and I haven't been able to beat them in 2 weeks. I don't play it every day, but, you know, every time I get up there, I'm almost do it. I can't do it. Well, if you talk to somebody like Spazbo, he'll go, oh, well, just wait for this move to telegraph. And it's like, I understand what's happening. I understand the game design of a tell in a boss design or an enemy design. I get it. But the difference is Spazbo, who's much younger than me, his brain is faster at going, oh, I can read that tell in 4 frames. But for me, it may be, 8 frames, 10 frames. And so I can't adjust fast enough, right? So I'm just saying that, yeah, we can make fun and say, oh, you're a boomer or whatever, but I'm glad, man. I'm glad that I get to still play game. I mean, I don't think I'd have a problem with SpiderMan at full speed, but Bukaki says Godskin Duo is easy. Just put one to sleep and kill the other. I don't know how to put him to sleep. I literally used sleep on my sword and I hit him and it didn't do anything. Frost didn't do anything either. Remind me when the next open discussion stream is, says Trey. I'd like to speak a little on games now versus then, microtransactions. Yeah, the next, we're doing we're probably doing a free swim Friday, is coming up this Friday. Yeah, Gohan says it, or Johan says it could be more than just reflexes. It could be input lag. Could be, yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm glad there's going to be in there. I don't plan on using it, but I applaud it. I applaud it. I have that red fucking Blood River sword. Bukaki says his Dark Moonlight sword. I have it as maxed out as I think I can. But I know they kind of nerfed it a while back. So let's get to microtransactions real quick. I don't have a sleep bomb. Where the fuck do I get a sleep bomb? I'm saving all my ruins and stuff, Bill Bones, because I hear the final boss is a nightmare. I'm playing on a monitor. Okay. Bacon Magma. Oh, that's a good point, Bacon Magma. Game night and free swim. Maybe we'll do both. We'll figure it out. But we're definitely going to do game night. Okay. Let's move on. So yesterday, I did a video responding to Destin over at IGN about... He made a video kind of about 2 things, but it was kicked off mostly by, a number of developers complaining about the bar being raised on Baldurs Gate 3. The scope is too big, it's too expensive, we can't compete, players shouldn't expect this, blah, blah, blah. And, it's become a much beloved video, has tons of likes, over almost 2 million views, and I'm like, all right, I want to watch this, and, I think it was Alex S. saying you should watch it and respond to it, so I did. And a big part of the video, though, after the scope discussion goes into microtransactions, right? About games in general. And so, well, Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't need microtransactions. Elden Ring doesn't need it. But look at this microtransaction, this microtransaction, so he wasn't happy, right? And then today there's the story over on, what's called, Polygon? Yeah, Polygon. This game I've been playing and loving, Palia, whatever. Cash Shop is out of control and it kills the cozy vibes, right? And on, we've heard the complaints, and I just want to talk about this in a second, but let me start with this story. You don't have to have played this game. This is a free-to-play game. It is open beta. Let me reiterate. It is a free-to-play game. You get a massive 3D world. You get tons of skill trees. You get tons to explore. Story, NPCs. You can hang out with your friends. It's pretty fucking robust for a day one open beta launch, right? And it's free. Yeah? So the only thing you can spend your money on right now is going to a costume shop. Yep, it doesn't affect gameplay one bit. The costumes are really cool, but they're super expensive. It'll cost you like $30 to $60 depending. And there's some beautiful fucking costumes. I want them. I'm not going to spend them. You out of your fucking mind? I'm not spending $50 for a dumb fucking costume. But this is what the author says. I mean, this has got to be a generational thing. It's got to be a generational thing where it's just like, look, I'm the most progressive guy you know, fellas. Okay? Cut me and I bleed socialist slogans. I'm supposed to say creeds, but that doesn't sound as good. So I get shit's hard. But the game is free, A. So this is what she says. I can get everything I need with gold. What I can easily get, what I can get by fishing, catching bugs, and crops. But the more I play, the more the microtransactions rankle me. And she talks about how expensive these fucking things are. And then she says, it's too rich for my blood. Okay? And then she says, you can have a wardrobe full of clothes that the player can peruse and pick out for free, but none of them come close to the style and panache of the cash gift shop outfit. Every time I see a player in the world, I can tell from a distance whether they're a free-to-play proletariat or a cash shop bourgeoisie. What is that word? I've never been able to say that word. I know what it is, fancy pants, but whatever, from their silhouette. The cashed out players are wearing big dramatic dresses or long squishy capes, and I'm over here in sportswear. It's free! It's free. It's a shame, she says. I genuinely love the time I'm spending in Palaya. Time will be all I'm spending, however, because I simply don't want to drop so much money on a small return. It's a troubling part of an otherwise sunny game. Shut up! What's the problem? It's a fucking free game. What do you mean she's right, Dingo? I'm not... What do you mean, so what if it's free? Meaning they gotta pay the bills, bitch. What do you mean, so what if it's free? You've got a massive game. And the one thing that they're asking for is purely cosmetic. And of course, they're going to make those cooler. Why would they not? That's how, capitalism works. That's how business works. So and some of the things that Destin was complaining about in his video regarding microtransactions, I could be wrong, but I don't remember any of the stuff he mentioned affecting gameplay. I'm almost certain the games he was talking about. Could be wrong. Like, you tell me. I've played a lot of Diablo 4, but not as much as most people. I've played like 12 hours. I love it, but I'm not addicted to it anymore. The microtransactions in that game, I don't think affect gameplay. Maybe in the end game they do. I'm not sure. But most of these games are... cosmetic. What's the problem? But so this is what I wanted to talk about, and I'll get to the super chat in a second. But I did this video yesterday, and I made myself, and I even see it in this fucking chat right here. So maybe I don't have a big ego. Maybe the problem's me. Maybe my communication skills are shit. Okay, maybe that's true. Because I have had 30% of the people coming at me saying, why are you defending these companies? Why are you against the gamer? And I just don't understand it. I have never said in that video or here, fuck the gamer. I have said the microtransaction exists because it's the way the businesses make money because people buy them. And then the people say, well, that's not everybody buys them. No, they don't. But you know what? Enough people buy them that the companies have run the numbers and said, this is more lucrative to put these in than have them out. Okay? So the problem is the gamer who spends the money, but it's not really the problem because it's not like they tried it once on the horse armor and hated it. And then they never looked back. If that was the case, like I said in a text to someone yesterday, you don't see Sony PlayStation making any more 3D games for 3D TVs, do you? No, because the consumer rejected it and they moved on. That's how business works. But this is a cash cow. Why would they change? especially when it doesn't hurt the gameplay. I'm not on the corporation side, Bacon Magma. It's not about that. First off, he says Jaffe is on the corporation side because he did the same tactics on Drawn to Death. I know he's probably teasing, but listen. We actually had all of our microtransactions in Drawn to Death, which was originally designed as a free-to-play game, were cosmetic. I would never allow them to affect gameplay. So, what's the problem with them? I don't mind free-to-play games that have microtransactions. Like, that makes sense. Yeah, well, some people are saying, oh, I don't want microtransactions in games I pay for, that I own. Tough, because you're in the minority. Financially, you're in the minority. Because ultimately, 2K makes more money, EA makes more money off their recurrent cost or purchases than they do off the core product. So, sorry. And and what I'm saying to people is, I don't mean to say it like, maybe that's why they can't get past the so sorry. I don't mean that like you're just wrong to have the opinion you have at all. But I mean it more, your ire is aimed at the wrong enemy or the wrong target. The companies are simply doing, they're the simplest organisms. They're almost as simple as sharks, right? They're binary. They make money and they do the same thing. They don't make money, so they do something different. It's that simple, right? You can't blame these fucking people. You just can't. Because people are showing up in droves to buy it. So my answer is, your complaint is not the greedy companies. Your complaint is your fellow gamers. Talk to them. The Gaming Nating says, so what's your feelings when the game devs designed the game to incentivize MTX purchases? Give me an example. The majority of gamers are not in the minority in terms of number of gamers, but the financial majority is a numerical, in terms of human bodies, smaller number than the body count of the people who don't like microtransactions. God, you'd think, says Cyclown, from these people that are companies, that these companies were making you sign a contract when you buy a game to give them 10% of your income. No, that's Mormonism. But yes, sure, I know what you mean. Johan says cosmetics do affect gameplay. They enhance the experience. You know what? You're getting a free game. Do you know how much a game like Palaya probably costs to make out the gate? They probably spent, I don't know, $30 million. And now you're complaining that, oh, well, my experience is not enhanced enough. I'm spending money for it. I don't get it. You're getting a free game. These things usually cost $60, $70. It's free. If people strictly wanted the old school way, says Zack, of buying games, consumers would only buy AA and indie. Right. That's what I always say too. It's like, don't fucking bitch about it. There's tons of games out there that have no microtransactions. They're not the AAA games. I like the AAA games. They're expensive and they're pretty. Oh, okay. Well, that costs a lot of money. We need to put microtransactions. Don't put microtransactions in my game. You don't get to have it both ways. I'm sorry. What is it? Did your parents never sit you down and explain economics to you? Did they never sit you down and explain, oh, you can only spend what you've got, right? Something's got to give. We want everything. I'll give you a great example. Here's a game on your screen, Vampire Survivors. A lot of people know this game. It's one of those unicorns of the indie game scene that breaks through. But most indie games are cult hits. They're beloved. They make their money back, but they rarely breathe the rarefied air of something like Vampire Survivors. Okay. So here's this game. A lot of people love it. It's classic. Was up for Game of the Year as it should have been, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Look at this. Here's what's going to happen. It's the same way every time. So these guys show up And these guys compete with an idea. This is one guy, actually. Competes with an idea. Competes with game design. Says, I can't go toe-to-toe with The Last of Us Part 2. I can't go toe-to-toe with Gears of War 5. But you know what? I can out-design them. Because that's just brain matter, right? That's just creativity, right? Great. I'm sure this will have a long tail, great legacy of sequels, blah, blah, blah. No microtransactions to see as far as the eye can see. But then you come along and people show up and they say, well, let's do what they did. This is called Pathfinder Gallows Spire Survivors. And it's pretty much a rogue Vampire Survivors. Hang on. But it's really pretty, right? That's the main thing. I mean, it's got deeper skill trees and whatnot, but it's really pretty. That's the main difference. And this becomes, if not this, something else that is prettier, the standard, right? And then suddenly everybody wants to play these kind of games, assuming this does well. I'm not saying it's a great game. I don't know what it is or how good it is yet. It's in early access as of today, I think. But suddenly you've taken what works and delights people for almost no money and no microtransactions. And the consumer shows up and says, oh, we love this. And we love it, but we wouldn't have paid attention to this, but we'll pay attention to this because it looks pretty. Well, the pretty costs money. So the team starts to go, well, to make our money back, this was made by one guy. This was made by 30 people. We got to make our money back because it's a lot more expensive. Let's put in some microtransactions. No, I hate it. I hate the micro. Then what do you want? Maybe they should put the budget, just like, you know what it should be? You know how when you go in food shopping and they have like calories, protein, saturated fats on the side, all the numbers? They should have the budget and the break even on the side of the goddamn box. So you actually get yourself a little education on, okay, maybe you don't know how much these things cost. But I'm not defending the corporations. I'm not saying you're wrong to want the best of the best and almost spend no money on it. I'm not saying you're wrong to want a game solid without any patches, any updates, any stores, any micro. I get it. I get you want that. I respect that. And every now and then, less and less, but every now and then you're going to get that. Sony does a great job of that. Elden Ring did a great job of that. Vampire Survivors did a great. Baldurs Gate 3. But that's no longer the norm. And you can complain about it, but don't tell me I'm pro-corporation and not pro-gamer. All I'm doing is delivering the news. All I'm doing is saying, this is the way it is because of the way it is. I'm not saying I would keep it this way if I could, but it's not going to change as long as gamers keep paying for it. Dango says, Fortnite gives you good value for your buck. This is just busted. Okay, then then if it's busted, don't play it. And they will learn that busted microtransactions don't work. Right? Who gives a shit? David Del Rio says, all right, but this is your second video complaining about people complaining. It's my second video that's free to you, non-member, that's also buried within an hour and a half of content about different things. Sorry I chose a topic today to put on the thumbnail that a lot of people are talking about. Sorry. David Del Rio. I'll tell you what, I'll take your opinion a little more seriously when I see a fucking membership sticker by your name. That's not true. I take good ideas serious. But I'll tell you about me the same thing I said to Dustin in that video. Everybody's playing the game. Not because we love the game. It's the game that exists to play right now. I'd love to change it. Okay? I do pick topics that I know will draw a bigger audience than a smaller audience. I have a topic coming up about the head of Kotaku being fired. Guess what? It's at the very end of the show. Why? Because most people don't give a shit. The minute you start talking about stuff like that, most people tune out. Okay? Just like whatever your job is, right? Whichever, bed you need to clean first in the, I was going to talk about a whorehouse, but I have nothing against sex workers, but I'm trying to insult you, not sex workers. Sorry, David Del Rio. Point is, that's business, man. I'd love to have a much more socialist country. I really would, but this is what we got. McGrath says, he dropped some super chats, and I appreciate it, buddy. He says, Jaffe, would your dream Sweet Tooth Twisted Metal movie include the contest with Calypso and other Blackfield inmates? I think it would absolutely... Bukaki says people like to play games to escape their life. They want to look cool in their games because they are losers in real life. Here's what I'll tell you, McGrath. I don't think you can tell the Twisted Metal Black story 1-to-1. So having a story where that's not necessarily the core. Like, I don't think you want to do Cannonball Run. If you remember that movie, you probably don't. I mean, you might, but where there was no star. It was just jumping from little episodic bit to bit amongst all the racers. I mean, that's an interesting structure we haven't seen in a while, but I don't know if you can really build a great movie around that. Scott Free says, I think Dustin was really commenting on the company complaints about Baldur's Gate from other devs. I watched the whole video twice and commented on it. You're absolutely right. Like I said a minute ago, the beginning of the video was about that. And then he deviated into this topic. I don't think anybody disagrees with the first thing he was saying. I'm sympathetic to the companies that are competing on scope and graphics, but that's a them problem. That's not my problem. Because if, game design will always see you through, right? So this guy probably made a small fortune playing this game, making this game. He ain't competing on scope. I mean, this almost looks like clip art, right? But he built a different kind of mousetrap, just like Nintendo does. I'm down, totally down. Don't fucking... Jaffe, remember, a video game is all about fun, not graphics and scope. I know. This is what I'm saying. That's why I don't have any sympathy for the developers that are like, they're raising the bar. They're raising the bar. Yeah, they are. So you can either go up to where the bar is and compete, or you can, find a different bar. That's how it's always been. Jaffe says, Death Proof, in your opinion, what do you think a retail price for a game should be to not require microtransactions to make their money back on a $150 to $200 million budget? Well, make their money back is a pretty easy piece of math, right? If you basically say $70 for the game, I don't know what the percentage is anymore, as digital storefronts have tipped the scales over retail. But let's be conservative. This is not correct. But let's just be stupidly conservative and say 50% goes back to the publisher or to Sony. Let's just take Sony, for example. So you spend $200 million on Last of Us Part 2. They get 50% of a $70 purchase. I know Last of Us 2 is last gen. It was $50, whatever. Okay, so half of that, it's $35 a copy. So... I don't have a calculator in front of me. How many times do you have to get $35 to get 200 million? That's how many copies you have to sell. But the goal is not to just break even, of course. The goal is to make a shit ton of profit. And so at that point, you would be mistaken if you assume their goal is just to break even. I mean, why even be in business for a lot of people? I don't, right? I mean, they want to make a lot more money for shareholders, for their bonuses, for their salaries, to make more games, to take more risk. And for every game that does Last of Us numbers, you've got a Drawn to Death, which didn't cost that much, but shat the bed. Just like all those games, free-to-play games that Sony tried to launch, shat the bed for the most part. So, I mean, the math is easy. I can't. Yeah, 5.7 million copies, says Brett Moore. So you could totally do that. You could totally do that with no microtransactions in sight. But they would like to make a profit. All right. It is what it is, fellas. But the thing that bothered me the most was people coming at me and acting like I am saying I don't care about the gamer and all I care about are corporations. I'm not saying that. Let me ask you guys this question. Help me out. Maybe I could really use your help. I'm not even fucking with you. Why Is it me? Is it my poor communication skills? I bend over backwards whenever this topic comes up to make it clear. I'm just saying this is the way it is because this is the way it is because gamers allow it to be this way. Nothing in that statement, as far as I know, is grr, capitalism, fuck you. I'm Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. I just want the corporations to win. Yeah, I don't believe that. Lord Garda says reduce the CEO salaries and make more profit. Sure, do that too. They won't, but do that too. Why are people coming at me as if I'm supporting this? I'm just pointing out why it is the way it is, and that's not some wise thing I'm pointing out. It's obvious. Robert George says microtransactions reduce fun in video games. Give me an example. We all agree that we would rather not have MTX in games. How would you change the system? The system is okay. Here's how I would change it. The reason maybe I don't care so much is because I don't just play AAA console games. You are buying into, if that is your bread and butter, a hobby that is only going to get more and more and more expensive. Okay? I am just as happy to play, Starfield, which I can't wait for, as I am to play games that people here. I'll literally, let me just show you this game. I can't find it, but I'll show you the site. I'm just as excited to play those big games as I am to play a really cool idea of a game here on itch.io, which is on PC. And it's just, you can just go, okay, horror games, there's no microtransactions, they don't cost anything. It's only like a 2-hour game or a 45-minute game, but it's clever, it's cool, it's scary, it takes chances. Sometimes they don't work, sometimes they do. That's what I'm saying. If you love the medium, you don't care about AAA. You just care about good games. But if you're asking, what do you have to change to get the level of games that AAA fans love without microtransactions, then they have to be willing perhaps to spend a lot more money on the initial purchase. Right? People want free games with no microtransactions. They'll start putting commercial interruptions. Yeah. Which is fine too, by the way. I don't have a problem with commercials in games if they're free, as long as they're put in the right place so they don't hurt the gameplay. Carlos, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, what you say makes sense, but gamers don't want to hear the hard truth. But why are they idiots? Is it most of my audience is a bunch of 5-year-olds? I mean, I'm not trying to make your life harder. I'm just telling you why it is what it is. But I don't know. They don't want to hear the hard truth, but Jesus, hear the hard truth, deal with it. You're going to hear a lot harder truths than that. Hey, Ricardo Esteves comes on in not wearing a Stitch clothing, and that's how we like him. Wow, Cyclown says they should have sponsors like Jetmoto did. That was cool. Do you know what? We reached out for those sponsors. It wasn't that they reached out to us and said, can we be in your video game? Mike, who directed it on the Sony side, wanted it because he's like, that's kind of feels more like racing. And so that's where we got Butterfinger and Mountain Dew from, but I don't think they ever made any real money off that stuff. But I mean, look at this. They're here. Alien Abduction. It's a great demo, by the way. It doesn't run great, but I love horror games and I love aliens. And this is one of the very few video games. I know the Gray Hill incident, but it wasn't very good. One of the few video games that deals with horror and aliens, right? You're not getting this right now on AAA. Go fucking good luck going to PlayStation or Xbox or Switch and playing this demo, right? That's why it doesn't matter to me, but I appreciate that it does for you, but that's the business you're in. So you're going to have to deal with those issues, man. All right, let's talk about Kotaku for a second. Ricardo, what's going on? Did I read right? Ricardo is home alone. He's home alone for 2 weeks. I'm going to get into a lot of trouble. Okay. it's not necessarily your audience, Zero Signal, but lots of people who listen to shows like these lack the business perspective. And it's hard to talk from that point without sounding like a bootlicker. But it's not some kind of crazy business. It's not like you've got to be, a Wall Street broker dealing in junk bonds and putting them into, fucking packages that look great and then they collab. It's not like you got to, this is just basic, finance 101. It's not like I'm offering some kind of really deep thing that if you don't really study business, you won't know. How is my mental health? That's an interesting question. I think it's decent. I think, I've started recently seeing, a woman who is kind of a therapist / ADD coach, because I have noticed as I've gotten older, it's gotten a little worse, right? And so my mental health has been improving as I've been putting into place some of these tactics and philosophies that we talk about when we meet. Short of that, though, I'm pretty fortunate. I'd like to lose some weight, not for visual reasons, just for health, but I'm struggling to kind of make it a priority. And that's mental, right? I consider that mental health. But other than that, actually quite good. Thank you very much. That thing you made fun about me using AI to trade this. Oh God, here we go. I make up to $10,000 a month doing that. Nothing. Okay. I don't care. Okay. I'd like to try ketamine. I know people who are on ketamine, and it's been a miracle drug for them. Vicarious says I spent over $160 on a PS3 in a game to finally play 2012 Twisted Metal. Needless to say, money well spent. Most underrated game you ever worked on. Hey man, Vicarious, first off, thanks for the super chat. Second off, I appreciate that. I am very proud of the work we did on that game. I agree. It is fucking excellent. Excellent. That you enjoyed it and you played it because, Lord, it's good stuff. Gene Park is here. Gene Park is taking a break from saving democracy. And I'm only teasing him, but I love that logo of the Washington Post. He says, I abuse ketamine as a street drug. Well, Gene's you guys got to, if you don't listen to Gene on a lot of podcasts, you should start for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons is he looks like this just very unassuming, nerdy dude. But then he's got all these crazy stories about abusing ketamine and having these insane parties and strip clubs. I think maybe he was a secret agent or something. That's what I think. Gene Park, what do you think of Destin's IGN video, says Addy Pie. Yeah. No, but it's a good, it's a really good, medicine. It's, and hopefully we're seeing more and more states legalize, psilocybin because it really is, it helps people. And, I'm very much looking forward to seeing a day where we get more of that out there. Okay. Yeah, it's called gene therapy. There you go. All right, let's talk about Kotaku. In fact, I'm not going to do it to Gene. I need to have Gene on the show soon, though, because in my mind, I'm just like, I only pull Gene in to talk about this. But I don't want to do that because, I don't want to. He's too nice of a guy. He'll say yes, and he might be just like wearing pantyhose and nothing else. Okay. Gene says, I said on Iron Lords. My question is, what was Axalavier responding to when he made the thread about raised standards? Are people actually asking indie companies to make a game as big as Baldurs? Well, okay. I think what I read into that thread that he did was scope from a standpoint of amount of content, but also graphic fidelity, but also, the number of branching paths that game has where it actually affects the narrative, right? Those are the things that I think they look at and go, we can't do this. Like if you look at Wasteland 3, which I thought was a great RPG, they did a really good job of their branching narratives, and it felt like you were really affecting the world of the story. But it was nowhere near the duration of a Baldur's Gate 3, from what I understand. So I think it's just depending on what they're aiming at. Are they aiming at scope? Are they aiming at narrative? Are they aiming at visual fidelity? And when you look at Baldur's 3, they've nailed all three of them. So I assume that's kind of what they were talking about. Dave Calzone says, hey, thank you for being a member for 2 months, buddy. He says, can I send you my long box copy of Twisted One for an autograph? Half serious, because I'm sure it's a pain. Happy to be here. I'm happy you're here as well, Dave. No, you cannot. But not because I would not gladly, gratefully, happily sign it, but I really do. I'm not fucking with you guys. I have really scorching ADD. And I have a guy who's been kindly bugging me, which I appreciate, Daxter Miller, for a month going, dude, you said you'd sign my shit. And I'm putting it off because it sounds boring to me to go down to the UPS store and get the thing and do the, but I'm going to do it. I just got to find that juice to do it. I can't commit to ever do that again. But if I see you on the street, I'd be happy to talk games with you and sign everything, but I just can't. But thank you for being a member, buddy. I appreciate it. But it's not personal. It's not personal at all. Right. Ricardo says, wait, is Baldur's Gate 2 good? I got that right. Pretty much. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Kotaku real quick. So, Gene says regarding Kotaku, I don't know what I could say. I don't really have insider information there beyond. I did hear she was fired and now it's out. Okay. Well, that's what I want to talk about next. So, the company that runs and owns Kotaku, and Gene, will you come on a show soon with me and just talk the news of the week? I'd love to talk games with you. Let me know. That would be a lot of fun. The company that owns Kotaku has fired relatively recent hire, editor-in-chief Patricia Hernandez. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate that, buddy. Kotaku editor-in-chief, this is coming from GameIndustry.biz. Kotaku editor-in-chief Patricia Hernandez, I like to call her Peppermint Patty, has reportedly been fired following a personal disagreement. That's pretty much all the information we have, other than a woman, fellow journalist, Shannon Liao, who spoke to Hernandez, said this in a tweet or in her newsletter. This is her quote. When leadership is, say, getting frustrated at you for writing about Tears of the Kingdom after it releases, I do think there's a limit of how much things can flourish, was what she told the update newsletter. And I went to Kotaku because I was like, have they been writing a lot about Tears of the Kingdom? And not really. They wrote 6 stories in July when I think the game came out. And I don't see a lot, right? So anyway, I was curious about all this because I don't really follow the business of these sites, right? So I got myself a free trial, which of course I'm going to let expire. Are you kidding me? To this site, similarweb.com. I just wanted to see what these sites brought in money and traffic and things like that. So IGN, kind of top of the food chain. In the world, they're the 500th most visited website. In America, they're the 260th, 70th. They bring in 120 million unique visitors. I think they're unique every... monthly visits are 121 million. Monthly unique visits are basically 50 million. People don't hang out that long, though. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. That's pretty much it. So then we go over to look at Kotaku. Kotaku has longer visitation, 6 minutes. Total visits of, on average, 15 million. And I don't think these are unique. I think, so they're not anywhere near the 300-pound gorilla that IGN is. And this is kind of a weird list. This isn't really the top 10 because you can kind of use whatever metrics you want. So like GameSpot is the highest when it comes to if you write video game news. GameSpot will come up first or they have a higher percentage of traffic that comes up. But that could just be a reflection of they're better at their search engine optimization than actually, the people who spend a lot of time. And I don't have the membership that lets me go what I'd like to break this down by unique visitors and by amount of time spent on the site. But it is interesting when you look at the big numbers like global rank or monthly visits. Kotaku is pretty much way down there. And they don't make that much money if this is accurate. I don't know if it's accurate, but they basically in revenue make about $13 million a year. And that's revenue. So, this is where I'm going with this, is I'm trying to figure out in this day and age, just like magazines kind of vanished. I look at websites now, and I guess IGN is maybe there's only room for one or two, because I look at something like Kotaku and I don't need to go to websites anymore, right? For video game news. I go to Twitter to get the highlights, and then that will tell me where to go. Or I go to YouTube to watch somebody talking about it because I can see live footage. So I don't even know if this is a viable, if you're Patricia Hernandez, the point of this is, if you're working for Kotaku as the editor-in-chief and your job is to get the numbers up, what do you do, right? I mean, they're not, you could ape IGN, but at that point, you probably don't have the resources to go head to head with the heavyweight champ. So you got to find an angle, and their angle for a long time has been kind of progressive gaming culture versus just pure gaming news. Well, clearly that's not enough for the powers that be. I wonder if the powers that be are like, okay, new editor-in-chief, we want you to come on board, and we want the same North Star, follow that same North Star, but just make it more successful. At which point, I don't know what knobs you turn, right? I don't know what levers you pull to stay within the vision statement of Kotaku, but actually get the numbers higher. Maybe here's what I would say. Maybe you play into the culture war. Maybe you play the fuck into the culture war and you say, look, we are going, we're going to cover video games, but we're going to have lefties and righties here. And it's going to be like the thing that Jon Stewart said was terrible, which he's right, with Crossfire back in the day with Tucker Carlson. And you just, it's a fucking battle royale of these fucking journalists that have totally different takes on this shit. And you've got podcasts where they argue. That might work, right? It might be horribly destructive, but it might work. I don't know. That could work. What else could work? What do you do to save Kotaku? If your goal is to just go, look, we want to turn this into the premier video game website, assuming that can still exist. It's probably got to be personality based at this point, right? You probably got to go out and back a truck up. Alexa, stop. A money truck up to Colin and Greg and say, guys, we want you to be the figureheads. We want 3 podcasts a week, and we know you don't like each other that much anymore. I don't know if that's an accurate description of the relationship, but we know you guys are in an interesting place, but fuck it. Here's so much money, you're not going to say no, right? And then you go out and you get some fucking hot chick to read the news. I don't fucking know, but I would try it. I would try something like that. Kotaku, give me a call. Can you imagine? They would hate me and I would hate them. Ricardo says, I worked at Portuguese magazines for 10 years at Game Reactor. My experience is editors get fired. Yeah, of course they get fired. But in this case, Kotaku is kind of a hotbed of you either love it or you hate it. Patricia Hernandez, I think, was their first female editor-in-chief. And she didn't last very long. And apparently also it's not, it's something personal happened. So, of course, the tongues get to wagging, sir. Naked Gaming News. They used to have that. Gene Park says, this isn't big news anyway. No one's really talking about it. Well, who's talking about it? Goddamn right. The only reason it's news is so people can dunk on Kotaku. I'm not dunking on them. I actually, to me, what was interesting about the story was it sent me down a path of wondering, what does it take to be good enough at the job of an editor of a video game magazine that you are almost unfireable, right? Like, how do you become the rock star, and what does your website look like to be that? That I think is actually very interesting, because I also wonder, has it had its time? I mean, hell, Gene, you guys lost, you cover, thank God, games for the Washington Post now, but you guys used to have a whole section, a whole staff. I mean, it may just be that this is no longer viable because the news is so fragmented. Towards the top of some of these fucking lists over on this website, SimilarWeb, is fucking N4G, which is just an aggregate site. It's like Drudge Report for video games. They just collect a bunch of shit. Well, they do a lot. They do a lot of business for something that doesn't cost that much to do. All right. I don't care about that today. I was going to talk about, I was going to, you are. Gene Park is the face of the Washington Post. Woodward, Bernstein, and Park. You goddamn right. I was bummed you weren't in the Spielberg film. I was very upset about that, Gene. I was going to talk about the Netflix thing again, because we talked about it on the members only show, but I don't think people are getting how seismic this is. Okay, let me just well, Tom Hanks, Gene says, who else do you know that works there? Tom Hanks works there. I saw the movie. Listen, this is a big story that people aren't getting. And I know, believe it, don't believe it, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. But I'm going to tell you something. Netflix rolls out beta to some people to play Oxenfree and some other game on your phone, on your laptop, and on your television, your smart TV, by streaming. So what? Big fucking deal, right? You're right. It's not a big fucking deal. Luna's done it. Great tech. I played Luna last night to see if the tech was still good. It's excellent. Stadia was excellent tech, but, they were shit business model. So Netflix, though, is doing it exactly right. Because if it works, it's only going to work. Like, people were like, see, Jaffe, you were wrong about streaming. Stadia is dead. I'm like, I wasn't wrong about Stadia. I wasn't right about Stadia. Stadia did not get across the finish line, so we could judge it properly. Okay? They were supposed to have, led by Shannon Studstill, led by Jade Raymond, overseen by Phil Harrison, a number of first-party exclusive games in development, internal and external, second party and first party. And Google didn't have the appetite, and they walked away. Okay? No, and Amazon has games in development. None of them go to Luna. They have an MMO out, but so far it's not been like, oh, if you want to play New World, you can only play it if you subscribe and stream it on Luna. None of that. Okay? Netflix is coming along. They're buying up teams. They now own Oxenfree as an IP. They've hired Raf Grassetti, can't say his name, the art director of Sony Santa Monica, away. They've hired one of the creators of the original Halo away to run a AAA first-party game for Netflix. And now they're starting to experiment in streaming, because at first I was like, well, what are they going to do with a AAA game? Are they going to become a publisher and put it in a box and sell it to Sony and Microsoft and Switch? They still may do that. But clearly now they're also going to be making streamable AAA video games. Exclusive. I assume, like, either what I would recommend is you put it on Netflix for 3 months and you put it in a box and put it on other systems just to see if it works. But that's when we can judge this accurately, assuming the tech is good. I'm not in the beta, so I don't know. And again, you may have to adjust your games. There was a game that I was so disappointed in, but I was so looking forward to, that Microsoft second party or first party put out. It was that sort of storytelling choose your own adventure game with the weird art style, and the people were on a road trip and they went to a hotel and it got robbed and all that shit. I didn't think it was a very good story, and I didn't think it was a very good art style. But even if that's what Raph, I don't know how to say his last name, and the Halo guy, I hope they're working on something a little more action-oriented, but certainly a game like that really anybody could play and get the mainstream involved with. I mean, this is Dust Falls. That's what it was called, right? And I liked it. The story was just goofy. I really do think, and what Amy Hennig is working on with Skydance, I mean, you know, Black Panther, Captain America. I know she's kind of pivoted away in her interviews talking about, originally she was talking more about Bandersnatch and finding a way to make games more accessible. The last time she talked about this, when they revealed what the title was, it sounded much more AAA action. So I don't fucking know. But I'm looking forward to it. I think this is big news. It may not be, it's big news for visionaries like me and Gene and Ricardo. Other people, not so much. Oli Welsh, who wrote this for Polygon, at the bottom he mentions, you know, Netflix seems serious about gaming ambitions. It's steadily been acquiring founding studios. It has 16 games in development in-house, including a AAA multi-platform game by Bungie, and they don't mention Raph. You know, he mentions it. I don't think he recognizes how seismic this could very well be. That's all I'm saying. Forget Brett Weir, I said. That's because Frank Rizzo's here. Come on now. You got to love the Jerky Boys, man. You know, when I did a prank phone call recently to GameStop, a bunch of the internet just came at me. Why are you bothering them? And it wasn't even like it wasn't even a crank phone call. I was asking them what games were selling. And people got up saying, they don't want to answer your question. Even though I asked them, hey, can I record you for my show? I want to talk about what's selling, and is Xbox selling more now that this, that, and the other? I swear to God, people just like to complain. That means they're unhappy, which means society's collapsing. Listen, last thing I'll tell you right now is a new fan-made port of Wipeout can be played in a browser, and it's really good. Have you seen this? Oh, by the way, you know what one of the big websites I was just like, what? That's a big website? Game Rant. Game Rant? In the country, it's the 300th most popular fucking website. I like Game Rant, but I just didn't realize it was that big of a thing. Anyway, check this shit out. Would I recommend Gollum? No. I haven't even played it. I've read the reviews, though. I think your internet sucks, Robert. Robert says, I'll say from experience, Netflix streaming isn't very good. I mean, I think most people are more than happy with it. But look at this. I'm not going to play the whole game. I'm terrible at this game. But look at this fucking game. This is insane. I mean, I was there, man. I was there when this was top of the food chain, when this was the alpha dog. No game ever looked this good. It never sounded and controlled this good. And now it's like, yeah, you want to play it? It's in a browser. Go fuck yourself. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's the real deal. Man, I'd love Sony to fucking just have a PlayStation channel. You know, if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, you get all the fucking games on your browser like this. Look at this fucking thing. Right? Let me turn it down. I'm not going to play the whole... I just want to show you real quick. Oh, shit. How did I change the view? Shit. Oh, there we go. I mean, come on! Look at this! I've never understood how to use those brakes. What website? It's called... hang on. Let me restart the race. I'll tell you... I just want to do... Yes, this is a browser. I'm just going to do one track. Yes, I want to reset. Fuck you, Gene Park. Right? I mean, can you imagine? I would totally fucking add this to your fucking, not this, but all your PS1 games. Just add it to fucking browser, man. Make it a PS Plus premium deal. I mean, this is in a browser, fellas, which is not that impressive in 2024-3, but it's impressive from a standpoint of, holy shit, look how far we've come. And it still plays great, man. It plays better with a controller. I don't have a controller hooked up right now. Anyway, there you go. It looks kind of like F-Zero. Bite your tongue, sir. Bite your goddamn cockadoodie tongue. Okay. I always thought F-Zero was hard as well to control. Wasn't for me. Yeah, definitely better than Redout. Fellas, the website, I don't know. Just go Google Wipeout browser. It'll come up for you. Listen. That's been Gabbin' Games for, what is today? Tuesday? Yeah, today's Tuesday. Don't forget, coming up, we got Game Night Friday. We got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we've got Quake 2 for members only. We'll stream it live for everybody, but you got to be a member. I'll put the event up in the Discord. We will do a pot and popcorn in the next 2 weeks. We got to figure out what movie we want to do. And what else? I'll be doing another Gabbin' Games, obviously, on Thursday. We have a members-only show coming up tomorrow. I love this microphone, Trey Trimble. It's my habit. Yeah, he says, Jaffe, you're so sweet to your microphone, petting it like you do. I know. It's kind of just fun to play with. What about the horror? What do you mean, a cab? Tonight, I am going with the kids to see Talk to Me. And we're seeing it in the theater. It's a pretty packed theater. I'm excited because I love horror. I love going to movies with my kids, and I love that we're seeing a horror movie with a lot of other people in an audience. That's the best way to see a horror movie. Well, not always, but in this case. So we'll be seeing that tonight. I'll let you know what I think sometime tomorrow. I'll be making some videos. In the meantime, mods, thank you. Always good to see you, Ricardo. It's so good to see you again. I'm hoping we'll see you a bunch during the next 2 weeks when you're home alone. Gene Park, always good to see you. I'm going to reach out to you and talk about getting on a show with you and chat in the chat. Hey, Gene, if you're still there, have you gotten your Starfield code? I heard they were going out today. Obviously, I assume if anyone's going to get one that I talk to, it's going to be you. Did you get that yet? Am I going to watch Saw X? I have never, Metallic Madness, ever seen a Saw movie. So, maybe. Do a show with Colin about aliens. I could do that. Thank you, Trey Trimble. I appreciate it, buddy. Okay, I'm waiting for Gene. Come on, Gene, still be there. Did you get a code? Come on, man. Yeah, but you're home alone. That's fun, Ricardo. You can come hang out with us and play hooky and shit. Oh, I think we lost Gene, the dancing jelly bean. Let's give him 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He says, Gene, put the mirror down. It says Lutron. Well, the thing is, somebody in the chat said somebody in Discord said they got their code. So he may not be allowed to say anything. He can't even tell us he got a code, Ricardo? Come on now. All right, fellas, be well, be safe. And I will chat with you guys really, really soon. Now I just need to find, here it is. All right, see you guys. Thank you, everybody. So I was responding to the chat. You just got here. I know, but be here at 1 o'clock on Thursday. That's when we'll do it. All right, see you guys.